with me, because I would hope that people would come to a park for the natural and cultural resources there instead of its visitor center, although we do appreciate funding from Congress for those visitor centers. Why did people not visit more frequently? I have the same 4 items up here for both visitors and non-visitors, and they rank out a little differently, but they're the same 4. The top one for non-visitors is they don't know much about the parks. They need information. This is the one barrier that they saw for not visiting more frequently. Other factors were common among both visitors and non-visitors: high hotel and food costs in parks, it takes too long to get to a park, and reservations have to be made too far in advance. So these 4 items ranked at the top for both visitors and non-visitors. Less than 5% of visitors and non-visitors agreed that parks are not unsafe, that NPS employees do not give good service, or that NPS units are unpleasant places to visit. So that's good. We've often heard about the nature deficit, the child nature deficit. Visitors 5%, non-visitors 10% do not agree that my children are not interested in visiting parks. So this is a very good thing. High entrance fees are, this one is really interesting to me. High entrance fees are a deterrent to more frequent visits. Only 6% of visitors agreed with that, and only 12% of non-visitors agreed with that statement. I think that also is very encouraging. And then finally, marketing would encourage more frequent visits, strong showing that people would agree with that statement. Now, we also asked about some management issues of parks, and we grouped these broadly, but one is sounds. Sounds are increasingly a salient issue in national parks, be it from aircraft flying overhead, from air tours or regularly scheduled passenger flights, to motorcycles, to even cell phones. So look at that, visitors and non-visitors alike. In fact, even more non-visitors slightly agree that hearing natural sounds in undeveloped areas is very important to them. Hearing cultural and historic sounds in parks such as Gettysburg, Valley Forge, etc. Is very important. Again, more than half of both visitors and non-visitors agreed with this statement. So we know that sounds are very salient. We have that anecdotally from other sources of information, but here's the confirmation of that. I should not be able to hear mechanized sounds like engines and cell phones. Not quite as strong a showing there, because most people have cell phones, I suppose. Maybe it hit a little bit too close to home. But still, both visitors and non-visitors, there's a strong showing for that position. And then aircraft flights should be limited over undeveloped areas, a little bit less strong of a showing in support of that statement as well. Similar results for jet skiing and other kinds of mechanized sorts of activities. Another management issue, pollution. Of course, we could think of sound as a type of pollution, but here we're talking about water and air pollution. Look at those showings. Both visitors and non-visitors alike say there should be no air or water pollution in national parks. I think this is very significant. Of course, we're interested in attracting visitors, but we're also interested in connecting to the American public as a whole, the so-called virtual visitor, if you will. And I think that speaks strongly for passive use value for parks and similar outdoor recreational areas existing and being preserved for the future. Okay. And this is where it gets a little bit interesting. So, another type of pollution, if you will, might be biological pollution in the form of invasives. Non-native plants should be removed. That's not a very strong showing by either visitors or non-visitors. And this speaks to an educational need. Non-native animals should be removed. Again, pretty weak showing, really. For as large of a problem as it is to federal lands managers, that's not very good. Animals that used to occur naturally should be brought back. Here there's a stronger one. Charismatic megafauna sort of influences, I think. Buffalo, bison, if you will, down in Great Sand Dunes, wolves in Yellowstone. There's support for bringing those natural animals back. Large parks should provide basic facilities such as roads, trails, restrooms, etc. Strong showing for that, but a decidedly weak showing for large parks should also provide major facilities like lodges, restaurants, and stores. So here, again, we're looking at what people are looking for is the ability to get outdoors, you know, with trails, roads, etc., and less interested in the built-up experience within national parks. Here's a different kind of pollution, light pollution. Parks should have night skies without artificial light. Very strong showing for that proposition. And private vehicles should be limited during the busiest periods, much less strong or showing for that proposition. And again, just like everyone has a cell phone, we all have cars, and maybe that strikes a little bit close to home. So let's take a look at some comparisons. 2 points do not make a trend, but I think it's interesting to look at these comparisons anyway, between the 2000 survey and the 2008-09 survey. Participation. So you can see between, and here of course obviously we're just talking about visitors, but there is a marginal bump up in people who visited, according to that definition, a unit of the National Park Service that they can name correctly in the last 2 years. So there's a marginal increase, a little bit more than a marginal increase in participation, and then a corresponding decrease in the all others category. Likely to visit a park in the next 12 months. Very strongly agree with that proposition. There's a bump up in that. So there are people out there who would like to visit parks, and they intend to in the next year. Participation by race and ethnicity. Here we see a marginal increase in Hispanic and Black participation between the 2000 survey and the 2008-09 survey. It's a marginal increase, and we'll take all of that. I think we have a lot of headway to make in that arena. And we have some research efforts underway to look at just those issues. Satisfaction with national parks. So there is a marginal increase in the very satisfied category. There's a decrease in the somewhat satisfied category. If you add those two together, it gives you, a change from 86 to 77% in the top two categories, and that's not good news. And that's something that we need to get a handle on. So that bespeaks of a decrease in the top two levels of satisfaction. And then there's a corresponding but very minor increase in the lower two levels of dissatisfaction, if you will. So that's a concern for us. The top reasons for non-visitors not visiting parks. The top one is don't know much about parks. And that decreased a little bit. So that's good. Maybe some of our web outreach efforts have been paying off. And then top ideas to increase visitation among non-visitors. Roughly about the same. Increased marketing is what they're looking at. Some preliminary observations. So those are kind of the numbers. Now, these are my take on how to interpret some of those numbers. Our visitors come for the resources and activities that parks offer. This is a duh moment. We don't have casinos in parks, and I think we should concentrate on those things that we do provide well. The emphasis on basic facilities in large parks by the public. Most want basic facilities, again, to be able to get into parks safely and to participate in those outdoor activities is what that's an expression of. The main reason non-visitors do not visit is that they don't know much about parks. And this is great in a sense because that's the most easily addressed of the top 4 reasons why non-visitors, or visitors for that matter, do not visit. This is an educational issue. It's not, it's not as difficult as tackling the high price of food and lodging in parks. That's something that there is some control over that, but is much less in our control. And again, marketing is the answer there. Other reasons are much less important, and we've covered these before. Poor service by NPS employees, parks are unpleasant or unsafe, etc. Soundscapes are salient, and I think that came through loud and clear. Pollution is salient if it's air and water, but native animals are very salient as well. However, next slide please. The non-native plants and animal issue is not salient, not anywhere near as salient with our visitors and non-visitors. Marginal increases in ethnic and racial categories participation. And these are the reports that we have available. The first three are available. The National Technical Report gives all of the questions and all of the answers for the entire survey. And then we have a comparison report out as well, and a race and ethnicity report. We will be having other reports available as soon as our contractor gets those completed. And this is the URL that you can go to get all of those reports. And I think that this PowerPoint will be made available. Feel free to give me a call if you didn't quite get the URL, if you would like a source for those reports. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bruce. A lot of good information to mine there and for folks to ponder, and going forward, more and more be looking at how that aligns with the different agencies and our research findings and the like for ours. Good start. Next up is Bob Bonar, good friend, and our private sector representative on this panel. Bob is the president and general manager of Snowbird ski area, just outside of Salt Lake City in Utah. And Bob got started in the business probably just trying to say, gee, how can I make a living doing what I love so much? Which is the origins of lots of people in the ski business, and well, in natural resource management too, I should say. And that's always a healthy sign because they really care. And Bob has been with Snowbird since the start, and came up through ski patrol and mountain operations manager, and developed into his current position. You've been in that 13 years, is that understand? Okay. And Bob has gotten involved outside of the ski area. He's involved in a number of foundations that work in partnership. One that stands out to me is Cottonwood Canyon. Let me list a couple of these others here. Ski Utah, Utah Sports Commission, and of course the National Ski Area Association. So Bob really walks the talk when it comes to partnerships. He's one of the Forest Service, he and Dick Bass, great partners in the ski industry that helps deliver a tremendous number of opportunities to people. So Bob, you're up.
Thank you very much, Jim, and my thanks to everyone for giving me a few minutes up here. I'd like to start, Derek talked a little bit about the history of this organization, and Derek, I think that not me, but I think Mr. Bass was pretty much in on the ground floor. Yeah. And I would like to take this opportunity to thank Derek for what he has taught Snowbird Ski and Summer Resort and a lot of us in the ski industry about partnerships. I will tell you from my experience, it has changed dramatically in the last 15 or 20 years into something that is so much better than what it was a long time ago. And I'd like to start by thanking Derek. He's just done a great job on teaching us in the ski industry. Thanks, Derek. I'd also like to start by telling you that just a little bit of an update on the ski industry. Ski industry's by and large doing really well, despite what's happened with the economy the last few years. Certainly we've seen a lot of changes in travel patterns and the length of vacation and the amount of money that people spend while they're on their vacations. That at the country ski resorts, but the good news is that people are still skiing, and it's wonderful. Last year, of course, with all the snow, was a record year in the ski industry in terms of